Today we're unboxing the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7. Now I've got to say I've used flip phones for several years and this super portable form factor always holds a special place in my heart. So I'm really excited to see what Samsung have done with this latest iteration of their flip phone. Now in this video we're going to be unboxing the phone. I'll also tell you everything that is new. I'm also going to get the phone properly set up and running so that I can show you what it's like to use the phone and I can give you my initial impressions right in this video. So as always I will leave the purchase links down in the description and let's get started. All right, let's get started with the unboxing. So one thing that's really cool is if you've pre-ordered your Flip 7 here in the UK, you do get a pair of Galaxy Buds 3 for free. Now I've used these headphones in the past. It's a great set of earbuds and even greater if they're included for free with your phone. But of course today the focus will be on the Galaxy Z Flip 7. So let's go ahead and get started here with the unboxing. Now the Flip 7 will come in at a price of basically $1,100, $1,000, $1,099 versus £1,049 here in the UK. So here we go. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Voila. Ooh, okay, so I went for the black version, as you can clearly see, and it looks sleek. I like it. Let's go ahead and lift it out of the box and look at that. I really like the color right away. I think it looks super clean. Let's go ahead and pull off the little stickers here, one on the back and here on this brand new cover screen, which by the way is going to be significantly upgraded over previous versions of the flip phone. It's going to now be larger, going all the way up to 4 inches, 4.1 inches from 3.6 inches. So nice larger cover screen. It's also going to look a lot better compared to the previous generations. But not only did the cover screen get an upgrade, so did the main screen. So let's pull off the peel here and voila, here it is. So this screen is actually going to be a little bit bigger. So it's going to be now 6.9 inches, getting a proper flagship size screen, at least on the inside. And another difference that I can already tell you is very significant is a much less visible crease. Check this out. If I angle the phone into the studio light that I have just off to my right here, you can see that the crease is much less visible. Now I've personally unboxed and used on this channel the Flip 6, the Flip 5, and even the Flip 4. So I have a lot of experience with these flip phones, these flipping phones from Samsung, great phones. But here I can say that the crease is substantially less visible. And I know for a lot of people from reading your comments, that's a pretty big deal. So I'm really glad to see that here over on the Flip 6. In fact, Flip 7, I mean. And in fact, I would say it's even comparable to the Fold 7, which I've just unboxed. It's currently setting up here, as you guys can see. I'll leave that unboxing video linked at the end of the screen here, at the end of the video if you like. But you can see that the creases on both phones, there we go, both side by side, have been dramatically improved. So it's great to see these improvements, not just on a larger and more expensive Fold 6, Fold 7, but also brought down to the Flip 7 here. Now the Flip 7 is also going to be slightly thinner compared to previous years on the Flip 6. Now the difference in thickness won't be as drastic as on the Fold side of things, unfortunately, but this is a difference that I will say I do visually notice and can feel in the hand as I'm holding the phone here. Let's go ahead and see if we can boot it up, press and hold the side button. Now one thing that did kind of stick out to me was the processor choice that Samsung have made on the Flip 7 here, but that is something that we'll get onto later on in the video once the phone is properly set up. But other than that, you see we have small upgrades but useful upgrades all around, right? The inner screen is slightly larger. The outer screen, the cover screen in particular, gets a big upgrade. It is slightly thinner, slightly lighter, also get a slightly larger battery. And again, that improvement to the crease here on the inside is a really big deal. But those, I'd say, are the main highlights, but we'll go more into depth once the phone is set up. But first, let's take a look and see what else is included in the box. So let's open up here from the top and let's take a look. So inside here, let's see if I can get this out. There we go. Inside here, first we have all of your warranty and quick start guide and warranty information. There you go. Like usual, this doesn't really change much over the years. And then here we have your USB-C to USB-C cable. My guess is that this would be a 3-foot or around a 1-meter cable. And then lastly, we have your SIM ejector tool there over on the bottom here of the box. Now, let's go ahead and pull back the phone here and take a closer look. So here we are on the setup screen. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever used a flip phone before? Or is this Flip 7 going to be your first flip phone? And what has your experience been like using folding phones in general? I think a lot of people have, once they switch to a folding form factor, tend to stick with it, at least based on reading your comments. But also a lot of new people, of course, will be coming into this genre of phone. And like I said, there really is something special about this super ultra portable form factor. And here we go. This is actually a quick preview of what that new cover screen looks like. I love it. It looks super modern with those edge-to-edge borders and bezels. Really nice. Check that out. It literally wraps around the camera. That's going to make it a lot easier to see content on the screen, for example, looking at your apps, etc. We'll take a closer look at that once the phone is set up. In fact, you know what? That's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to take a quick break, set up the phone, and then we'll be right back once it's ready. And we are back. I've got my Flip 7 fully set up and ready to go. Let's take a closer look. All right, so we're actually going to close the Flip here and take a look at this cover screen first, as this here is a huge improvement over the previous Flip 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, especially the first generation. Basically, every Flip beforehand was a much smaller display, where now we get a much larger screen. And as you can see, I really like the way that it wraps around the cameras. Really makes you feel like you're using all of that screen real estate. I like how it is super slim, going edge to edge. Just makes it feel more futuristic and modern. And by comparison, the Flip 6 suddenly does look a lot older, and it's just great to have a larger screen because of course you're going to see more of your app content. You can see as I'm cycling through the different widgets here, you just get to see a lot more of your data and content at once when going to flip through all the different screens. It's amazing how far you can customize this cover screen. I really like it, but I'll show you more on that in my upcoming tips and tricks video for the Flip 7. Now, another thing that's cool is that not only is the screen bigger, it is also better. So it is now brighter and is also now a 120 hertz refresh rate. So it'll match the smoothness of the inner display. So really, you no longer have a sacrifice when switching between the two. Speaking of the inner display, let's go ahead and unfold the Flip 7 here. And as you can see, the inner display is now also going to be a little bit larger, going from 6.7 inches up to 6.9 inches compared to the previous Flip 6. And this makes the display a proper flagship size screen. Really feels large. There is no compromise here. Again, the only difference, I would say, putting it side by side, my S25 Ultra, see the sizes are very similar, but that would be the bezels. The bezels on the Flip phones tend to still be a little bit larger compared to, well, a non-flip phone, and this is understandable because you do need that mechanism, you know, that flip mechanism and how that works. But it is something you do notice, but at the same time, you do get used to it after a little short time. It's not that big of a deal. Plus, I found the edges on the Flip 7 here feel a little bit less unobtrusive. So if I'm scrolling or swiping, say, from the edge of the screen, it doesn't really get in the way as much. Where on previous Flip phones, you'd kind of feel a bump more. Now it feels a little bit less unobtrusive. Now, taking a closer look at the design, I would say the design of the Flip 7 isn't that different compared to previous generations. We get a lot of small upgrades that do add up, but it's not the same as, for example, the Fold 7, which I just unboxed separately, where the difference really is night and day compared to previous generations. Now, that said, it is still a little bit thinner. So in terms of thickness, we went from 6.9 millimeters on the Fold 6 to now 6.5 millimeters on the Flip 7. And I will say, I do notice this in the hand. I think it's a nice difference, big enough to where you do notice it. Now, of course, I do wish that the Flip 7 was as thin as the new Fold 7. Just imagine how that would look, but that is something that maybe we will have in the future. Now, let's take a look at the hinge. Samsung have promised a more durable hinge over on the Flip 7, and that is something that I always like to hear, because just like with the Flip 7, Flip 6, really any folding phone, the hinge is going to be the Achilles heel of these phones. So that is something that I definitely look forward to testing and visiting in theory or in depth on my upcoming review video. So be sure to subscribe to not miss that. But so far, it is looking good. Samsung has also said that the hinge is now 30% smaller, and this I do notice when the phone is closed, it doesn't stick out as far, so it looks a lot more clean. In fact, kind of comparable to the previous Fold 6, sorry, now that I think about it. So that I think is a nice touch. But again, my main focus really is going to be on durability. If they can make it more durable, then I am more happy. All right, let's take a look at the camera. So cameras don't really had a big upgrade this year. We still get a 50 megapixel main sensor and a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. No telephoto on the Flip phones, although that is nothing new. Let's take a look and let's check out these cameras here. So one of the beauties, of course, of this Flip form factor is that you can use the cover screen to use essentially the rear cameras for your selfie camera. So that gives you a much better quality output. Check it out. Here we go. Let's take a look. Let's take a quick picture here. What is cool is I can just tap on the display anywhere to take a picture, and I can then go ahead and preview it from there. So this right here is of course using now the main camera, so in that sense it gives you a really high quality selfie experience. And because the phone is so small, it's just so comfortable to hold in your hand. Like, you can really comfortably reach this out far, get that group shot without worrying about your phone dropping or anything. There really is something fun to a flip phone. I guess that's really the best way to put it, that you don't get with many other form factors, really any. I think that's really unique to this square flip-like phone. So this I really like to see. And again, the cameras, yes, they didn't get a big upgrade this year. They're very similar to what they were last year, but they are still really quite good. Again, especially because you can use those main sensors as your selfie camera. And the same, of course, goes for video. It's great to shoot video like this as well. If you're kind of vlogging, you can talk to the camera. Super comfortable to hold like this. Check it out. See it here in the above you here. Look at that, really great. And again, just simply tap to start recording, then you can tap again to remove away. Check out, we got this cool little recording light going around the lenses. I think that's kind of creative, I like it. And then we can also zoom here by pinching. That was previously not possible on flip phones, and I think that's only been added now since we have that larger cover screen. Now, something I was really glad to see is that despite the Flip 7 being thinner and also a little bit lighter compared to last year, we do actually get a larger battery. So it's a small increase, but an increase nonetheless, going from 4,000 milliamp hours up to 4,300 milliamp hours. So say about a, what is that, like an 8 or 9% increase. Now, battery life has never been a biggest strength, let's say, of these flip phones. So having more battery will definitely benefit it. So this is great to see. Now, what is a little bit less great to see, and something that I was really quite thrown off by, was Samsung's choice of processor for the Flip 7. Now, the Flip 7 comes with an Exynos 2500 chip. Now, I'm personally not sure why they chose to use an Exynos chip over the traditionally more superior Snapdragon chip. Now, while yes, this Exynos chip is still a 3nm chip, so it should be quite efficient and it is very modern, etc., it still probably won't perform as well as its Snapdragon competitor, and that's something that I think Samsung probably ended up doing for cost, but this is something I will have to thoroughly test in my review to see how well or not well the performance of the Flip 7 is going to hold up. I would have loved to see something like the Snapdragon Elite chip that we get in the Fold 7 or say the Galaxy S25 Ultra. But anyway, I'm going to give this Exynos chip, of course, a fair assessment and try it before I do so, but that is something that stood out to me when I was looking through the spec sheet and I figured out, hey, this is not a Snapdragon chip, this is an Exynos chip. So that is something to bear in mind. I wouldn't necessarily be too worried about it, but likely will be a small compromise compared to, say, the chips you'll find in the S25 or especially that of the Ultra. Now, aside from that, what is cool to see is that the Flip 7 is going to be the first flip phone to support Samsung DeX. Now, if you don't know, Samsung DeX lets you plug your Galaxy phone into any kind of monitor and essentially get a desktop interface, which I think is really cool to see. There's not many other manufacturers that do this, and it is a unique feature to Samsung. So I do like to see DeX, and it's great to now also have this on the flip phone, where previously they did not have it. Now, the Flip 7 also comes with the latest One UI, so this is One UI8, and this comes with a bunch of new AI features. For example, you can now communicate with Gemini and let it show and let it see the context of what is on your screen. So if, say, you have a particular query about what's on your screen, I think that's going to be very useful. And there's also many small but nice quality of life improvements that I really look forward to testing more thoroughly as I review this phone. So there you have it, the new Galaxy Flip 7. I've got a lot of questions to answer in my review, which is going to be coming up, so be sure to subscribe to not miss that. For example, is it going to be better to get the new Galaxy Flip 7, or would you rather save some money and get the previous Flip 6? Also, what about the Galaxy Flip FE? Now, I would say based on my specifications, while I don't have it here today, I would say if you are choosing between the Galaxy Flip 7 FE versus the Galaxy Flip 7, I would go with the Flip 7. I think for $200, this phone delivers substantial upgrades in its performance, battery, as well as, of course, that outer display and inner display, particularly when it comes to the crease, which is a big upgrade here on the Flip 7. And I would also say if you're going from the picking between the Galaxy Flip 7 FE or the Flip 6, I would actually go for the Flip 6. You can definitely find it cheaper now. The Flip 6 also has better performance. You get more base storage. So I really think that the Flip 7 FE doesn't add a lot in terms of features compared to the Flip 6. So I would go with that. But if you are picking between the Flip 6 and 7, well, ultimately my answer for that will come in my full review, but this does seem to be a really nice upgrade. Again, it's many small upgrades that do add up and make this Flip 7 feel like a pretty big jump forward when it comes to this Flip form factor. So let me know if you have any questions at all. And if there's anything in particular that you'd like me to cover in my review, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you haven't seen it yet, I also recommend you check out my Fold 7 unboxing and impressions video, which I'll leave linked on screen right now. I've got a lot of testing to do between both of these devices, and I'm really excited to check them out. So be sure to stay tuned for lots more content coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.